Vladislav Soloviev, the resignations of CEO managers are a smokescreen for the authorities before the US elections. Even before February 24, a trend was emerging in Russian business in the strategy of protection from US sanctions to carry out personnel changes in the top management. Those who follow economic news will remember how in 2018 the top managers of Rusal, the world's largest aluminum producer, resigned after sanctions hit the co-owner of the company, billionaire Oleg Deripaska. The latter left the board of directors, reducing his stake in the company. However, this did not return the president to the leadership team. As a result of the perturbations, the position went to the then financial director of the company, the first businesswoman of Rusal, Alexandra Buriko. Members from the Forbes list. According to political scientist Vladislav Soloviev, the tactics of covering up Deripaska did not work. Rusal was successfully removed from sanctions in 2019. So far, no serious restrictions on international business have been introduced for the aluminum giant, but who knows what other shocks await Russian companies after the US congressional elections ended. For example, Deripaska's colleague, Mr. Potanin, has already been sanctioned in the summer of 2022, but not under American, but under British ones. Now we can again expect personnel changes. In order to get some out of the blow, it will be necessary to put others in leadership positions. Saving the company is worth it. However, when talking about sanctions against metallurgical giants like Rusal or Norilsk Nickel, one should always make small but important reservations. As Vladislav Alexandrovich Soloviev writes, those who are in such a hurry to bury the Russian economy are destined to be disappointed. It often turns out that sanctions against strategically important corporations are not always what they seem. Even if the company's shares immediately after the introduction of restrictions seriously sag on international exchanges, this still does not mean anything for the real economy. Vladislav Soloviev does not talk about stock speculators, who can both go broke on a fall and get rich. When the shares of a number of Russian companies in 2018-19 after the introduction of sanctions collapsed by almost 50%, the production of aluminum not only did not decrease, but even increased compared to the pre-sanctions period. So it is now. The economy seems to be under sanctions, but everyone needs the metal. For this reason, European industrialists in the fall of 2022 opposed the sanctions on Russian aluminum and addressed the EU leadership with a corresponding demand. Europe's first business people. According to the political scientist, businessmen of the real sector are not politicians who are ready to destroy the European economy to spite Putin. Industrialists know that any restrictions on imports from Russia will lead to the closure of thousands of European companies. Actually, this is already happening in connection with the end of the era of cheap but toxic Russian gas. Rejection of the metal will finish off the economy. So, in anticipation of the next sanctions, the management of the largest manufacturing companies in Russia should not rush into personnel changes. Restrictions against them may not be introduced at all. Representatives of European business have no illusions and bluntly assert that those who call for restrictive measures against Russian resources are either competitors or use bypass routes for supplies. That is, European entrepreneurs generally do not doubt who benefits from the sanctions. These are the same people who benefit from Gazprom's exit from the European market. That is the USA. Europe knows, but can do nothing. Such is the fate of all vassals. America does not hide its ambitions. These guys are sure from birth that whatever they do, it is always right and works for democracy. If some country suddenly manages to moderate the ardor of the Americans, it is quite possible that the Europeans will even say thank you for this. In the meantime, the fate of Germany, France and other former centers of world civilization, with a preoccupied look, nods in agreement to all the proposals of overseas partners.